And I'm recording, so.
All right. Welcome, welcome, those of you that are here. We're getting people coming in. Woo, we're up to 5. Yay! Hello, hello, hello. Go ahead and open up your chat while you're coming in. Let us know where you're from. We'd love to hear from where all over our world you are from. Please remember, if you do use the chat, to change it to go to everyone by clicking the drop down next to the 2. Make sure it goes to everyone and let us know who you are. We are so glad you are here.
Happy Sunday.
Had to close the curtain so the dog wouldn't go look out the window to bark.
California.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
I see so many familiar names.
Yeah, I'm seeing some people who've been at some of our other events. It's so nice to see everybody.
Build the field, they will come, huh?
Kathy, where in South Carolina are you from?
Oh, thank you for joining P of A.
Woo!
DM? I hope I'm saying that right. DM Wen?
When?
I'm Johanna, nice to meet you. Yay, I got it right. I have a lot of students with that last name. So my last name is Smith. I figure it's pretty similar. Yeah, we're all happy when we hear people joining P of A because it's so nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just so nice to have a way to reach you and communicate with you and share things with you, and it makes it all official.
I know where Aner is, Miss Kathy. Of course, I used to teach in Johnsonville, just so you know, and Hemingway, actually. I know where you are. Hello, Chris. Where are you from?
Oh, Johnson.
We
Small
have a
world.
librarian in the room.
Yay.
Love my librarians. I'm convinced the librarians are going to take over the universe.
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, we got a Hawaiian. Hello, Gail.
Woo! Art teacher. Woo woo. Oh,
Librarians. Yes.
Kathy,
Love
your
all you
name
guys.
is very familiar. So I'm wondering if maybe we ran across each other when I used to work at Johnsonville Middle School.
I was going to say, well, thank you for putting the word puppeteer in the chat.
Oh,
Finally.
wonderful.
Canadians. Yay. What's that about? Glad you're here.
Yeah, Kathy, I left in 1999, I think. So, yep, we missed each other. I got someone that's calling me. I guess they can't get in. I will go ahead and mute myself for a minute and see if I can assist.
Yeah. Does anybody have any troubles? Like for me, Zoom made me sign in with Google, which it never does. So that was weird.
Yeah, it did that to me today too, which was weird.
It's like, really, Google today?
And then I'm like, I can't do this right now. So then I just went and signed in with the meeting code and password.
Yeah, I think it was a rogue security setting. I did change it, so it
Mm.
shouldn't, as long as folks refreshed it, it shouldn't do that moving forward. But if they hadn't refreshed the page, it might still ask them for that authentication. Just a heads
Ooh.
up.
Thanks for that.
Hmm.
Next time we got to put a PIET playlist together, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, I was about to start humming something.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Sorry, I'm switching from face view, table view to face view because I feel like I'm looking in the wrong place.
All right, I got him in. Woo woo!
Oh, wonderful. Good. Well, I hope everybody's, if you're like us and you're in education, we're kind of really in the thick of the end of the year. So thank you everybody for finding time to join us. Oh, Mark, I'm humming with you. I'm harmonizing with you right now.
Hmm.
Mentally. Yeah, next time we should do, we should do some songs. You have to be careful though, because you don't want to get, what is it called? An earworm, one that's just too catchy, and then we'll be singing it.
Like the song that never.
I was about to say, don't start that.
Oh, no.
Mana mana.
Oh, if I really want to be evil, I'll mention something about a shark, but I won't do it. Okay.
Mana mana.
Do-do-do.
Oh my. Now, Mark, I've seen your name a lot. Where are you from?
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I don't know. Have we met? Okay. Yes, you. Ooh. Oh, you're in Puget Sound. Is that right? Orcas Island? Hey, I've been around a little bit longer than that. That's awesome. On this earth, a little bit longer than that.
Hmm.
Yay, we got someone from the Puget Sound. I'll be up there later this summer up in Olympia. It's gonna be fun. Oh, Philly, right on.
Oh, Mark, did you know that the Philadelphia Guild has started to restart? If not, you might want to check into that.
Really? Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
I lived there many moons ago.
I
That's
didn't
really
know.
good news. Good
That
news.
is good news.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know that the Philly Guild stopped. I used to be a member many moons ago.
Yeah, I used to, yeah, back in the day when I worked at the Philadelphia Zoo. Doing puppets.
Oh, good.
Oh, Chris, you mean you're from Philly? Oh, I was at the zoo from 91 to 94 in the summers. At the treehouse. Back when there was a treehouse.
Philly suburbs.
Oh, cool.
Well, then, Chris, you as well should find out about the Philadelphia Guild if you're not
Yeah.
involved.
All right, cool. I'm so glad to meet everybody. Hopefully we'll have a moment to, at the end of this, have a moment to chat and talk and do our favorite thing as puppeteers, which is get to know each other and share ideas. Hi, Rachel from Los Angeles. Hello. I'm the reason I'm excited about Los Angeles is that's where I am. I'm Johanna Smith. I'm here in lovely Pomona, California right now, which is in Southern California, just east of Los Angeles. And I am the current chair of the Puppetry and Education and Therapy Network committee. And if you are interested in joining us, there's no real rhyme or reason to joining us, just join us. So we have a Facebook group where we like to share ideas. I'll be posting the recording of this session in there, as well as all of our resources. But also I just encourage you to just reach out, get to know us, get to know, just reach out and, I'm doing a way for you to do that. I'm writing the PIET email address, that's me, in the chat, and you can always reach out to us, especially if you have an idea for something like a programming idea or something, maybe a discussion even, or anything like that. I'm more than happy to talk to you about that. We are not currently going to meet over the summer because we are all, like most puppeteers, super busy. So we will be getting back together again on regular Zoom meetings in the fall. So, but I'm really excited that we have our inaugural May Make and Take event that was materialized in conversations with the amazing Connie Burke Mulligan right here. This is her baby, and we are so excited to support her with this great idea, because as we enter the summer and everyone's got summer camps and all kinds of workshops to do, I think we all just need a second to just throw a bunch of ideas in a big pot and stir. And so feel free to add your ideas and thoughts as we have this presentation. So without further ado, Connie, take it away.
Hello from North Carolina. So yeah, I'm sorry about the accent. If I was living in another place, I'd talk like that other place. It's a chameleon of the military life. So hello. So I'm gonna throw a link up in the chat. This is the intro link. So if you can go ahead and click on that. I'm gonna share my screen for just a minute, and then I am going to walk you through what we're gonna do today. So we are so excited to have you here in our very first Make and Take. Many of us have done Make and Takes throughout our years, but now we thought this would be a great way to kick off summer, and there's so many of you in different programs, whether you're working camps or library reading programs during the summer. We thought it'd be really a fun idea to say, hey, here are some cool, neat ideas that you can take back and use right now, tomorrow, today, or in planning for your camp. So let me give you a little teaser here. So first of all, if I click the right screen, we're going to have 5 different presenters today. You saw us all as you came in: Claire Ritzler, Home Slice Eric Weiss, Professor Joanna Smith, Matthew, and I'm going to say it Matthew wrong. Is it Bernier?
Bernier.
Bernier. I knew it. I knew I was going to do it. And then myself. So here's what you're going to learn today. So the first thing we're going to have is Claire is going to teach us about the elastic mouth puppet, as you can see here in a picture. And then we will have Eric going home slice under the hood puppet mechs. That sounds interesting. And then Professor Joanna Smith, she is going to do some super fast, no fuss hand puppets for you. You can see there, very exciting, very colorful. And then Matthew Bernier is going to do 2 small things for us. One is a plastic bag tabletop puppet, which is great when you're repurposing recyclable materials. And then a Slavic ragdoll tabletop puppet. And then we're going to end up with me bringing it up, talking about personalized 2D paper puppets. You have the link in front of you. And if you click here to download the presentation materials with the link that I gave you, you will be taken to 4 folders where each of the presenters today has given you their information. So please feel free to go ahead and ask any questions, and I will try to field questions for people while they're presenting.
Hmm.
And we are going to go ahead and begin with Claire. So Claire, you are up and I am going to pin you for everyone.
Well, hello, everybody. So glad to see you all today. This is the puppet that we're going to be making today. It's one of my favorites because if you have only a very short time to build, or if you have an event where you really do need to have a make it, take it, it can be workshopped or it can be a quick make it, take it. So very, very simple puppet. We just need a paper plate. I like these puppets as well because you can make them as large or as small as you want. I'm going to hold this really close so you can see the holes that are in it. You can use a paper punch to put these in if you have one with a really deep throat. However, if you don't, and I always have lots and lots of these to do, sometimes hundreds, I take the plates and I stack them. And then I take my drill with the small drill bit and I just drill right down into the plates. And then they all have holes. Takes me 5 minutes maybe to put all of those holes in. You want the sturdy paper plates. You don't want those thin white ones. I like to get them in all different colors. So sometimes I'm at Party City or Walmart, or if I need big stacks of paper plates, it's places like Costco. So the other thing that you need for these puppets is you need paper fasteners. The kids like these, they don't see them as much anymore. And we want to put the paper fasteners inside these holes. Of course, we open them up. That's the part the kids like. And they can, depending on the ages of the children, they can do this on their own, or you can do a quick lesson so that they can do this. Let me get that one open. So there we have it. Then we're going to use hair elastics. I've just used a dark one so you can see it, but they come in many, many colors, and you can get them at Dollar Tree. You can get 100 of them for, $1.25. We're just going to take this. We're going to stretch this behind, right behind here. Now, there we go. And that creates the mouth. Simple, simple, fast, fast. Then on the back of the puppet, we're going to put the stick. And I use glue and tape, maybe a little bit of masking tape. I'm going to put this on here so you can see it. So very, very simple. The glues that I use, depending on whether, again, I'm workshopping it or whether it's a make-take at a big event. I usually use Aleene's Tacky Glue because it's nice and strong. The other thing I like to use for paper is the Scotch, the permanent, let's see if I can get this so you can see it. The permanent glue sticks. And I need to find this. Oh, there we go. 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 All right. So they're permanent and the school glue sticks don't work. And now the way that you make this permanent is that when you are gluing something, you're going to put a lot of glue on here. You're going to be generous with it. I don't tell the kids they have to use a little bit. We use a whole bunch, right? And I usually have them do it like 10 times. And then you're going to stick on there whatever you need to have on there. So the other thing that I like to use, if I'm going to do eyes and I need hundreds of them, I will use these stickers. These are permanent stickers that you can get at Office Supply. They're called mailing stickers. Then you can put the other stickers on top. Some of the stickers are not permanent and they'll slide off, and they'll definitely slide off of this slippery plate. So what we want to do is take these stickers. We're going to stick these on. Now the kids, they'll do lots of other things. That's kind of a little hard to see, but there they are. And then some pupils. Now, the other thing that I also use, if it's a smaller workshop, I do use wiggle eyes, or I give the kids a lesson about making their own eyes and what's going to make them show up and the position of the eyes and all of those kinds of things. When I use wiggle eyes, because they're plastic and glues don't stick to plastic and they'll fall off, I use stickers, double-sided stickers that I also get at Dollar Tree. So these are a really inexpensive puppet. Then, of course, we need some yarn and or string, whichever you need on here. This is going to go on the lower lip of the puppet. And if you know that old trick about putting, and so here's our lower lip. We're going to stick this on here just like that. And we make the loop and we put the little legs through the loop. And then this puppet talks just like that. And it's quite sturdy. When I put the stick on, I usually make sure that the stick is between these two holes. It just adds a little bit of sturdiness to it. So here are the two holes and the stick is running up here between those two holes. It's just a trick that I like to do. So in my little town of Winterville, Georgia, we are called the City of Marigolds, and there was an event last weekend. And so we needed to make flower puppets, which made it so that the kids could quickly make these. Of course, they took all these petals and made animals and all kinds of things that they wanted to make, whatever they wanted to make. You know, that's how that works. Now, the other thing is if you're going to workshop these and you want them to be more complicated, you can use the larger plates and make a really, really large puppet. And of course, you can always add a body to these puppets, any kind of body that you want. So you can add all of those kinds of things to this puppet. When I do that, I punch a hole in the neck so that the string comes back to the back so that I can hang on to the stick. And then, of course, pull the string from the back. Makes it, I'm a little more magical that way, you see. So these are simple, simple, simple puppets. Again, I like them because they're quick. The supplies are inexpensive. Anyone can find the supplies and have fun. Make some puppets with some kids and adults like these too. As soon as the string goes on the mouth, the children always, every time, grin and get really excited. And you'll see them walking around, you know, making their puppets talk. Anyway, that's it. And that's my simple make it take. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Claire? Thank you so very much. We appreciate that simple puppet. And the great thing about that is you can turn it into anything. Like she said, it's so quick and easy.
Absolutely.
I have a question. This is my
Yes.
teacher brain question. My guess is that really encourages verbal improvisation with the kids, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you have children who are even having difficulties with speech, for example, it really does. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a lovely puppet because it's just adaptable for a lot of things. You can make any kind of body. Mostly, I have the kids make their own if I'm workshopping it. And I just lay materials out. And I always have leftover, you know, stuff left over, you know, from other projects. So that just goes into the pile. It goes into the middle of the table for decorating the puppets. They'll choose how they want to make it. And so that's what I like about them is that we start off with a plate and some paper fasteners and an elastic, and then we are ready to go.
Claire, we have one question. If you could show the purpose of the stick in the back, please.
Oh, the purpose of the stick in the back. So if we think about puppetry and the different kinds of puppets, then the puppet is really technically it's a rod puppet, isn't it? So it needs to have something, a handhold. It's not a hand puppet. So the stick is so that you can hang on, so that you can work the puppet. And if let's say that you have it on a little stage and the kids are doing a show, you know, they can say, once upon a time, there was a goat. Anyway, so the stick is really, it's for sturdiness, but it gives the kids something to hang on to. And so it makes the puppet work. Did that answer the question okay?
Absolutely. I think that
Okay.
was perfect. Thank you. All right. Next up, now that we've had this, woo, hands in the air. We've had this, we'd like to proceed to Eric. Home slice. Brrr. All right, go for it.
All right. So my one that I'm going to show today is not a simple one. Mine is much more complicated. I developed this one quite a few years ago because I was making mechanisms for puppets, and none of them were ones that kids could do. And I figured that that was something that they really needed because, you know, the STEAM and engineering and trying to work out things like that. So I developed this simple mech. When you read my write-up that goes with this, it'll talk about this a little bit more. But you're gonna need something that makes like a T shape. I usually use this little piece of wood that I like put a screw into a dowel, and I do this ahead of time. And the other thing that I do ahead of time so that I don't have to worry about kids with razor blades is I take a piece of corrugated cardboard and I make 2 slits in it. I cut it, I score the cardboard from the back, and if you can see, I go against the grain, and that's important. If you go with the grain, it kind of unravels a bit more, and that's going to become the mouth plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pattern that I also have in that, and this is for the mouth plate here, and the scoring lines kind of line up with those 2 dotted lines. And so we'll take that and we'll place it on the 2 spots, the 2 lines that are scored on the cardboard. So kind of lining these 2 lines up with those scored lines there, and take our Sharpie or marker or whatever, or pen, it doesn't really matter. And we'll just trace that pattern. Okay, so there it is traced like that. And then we're going to take some scissors and cut it out.
This is where some humming can happen, right? We need,
Oh yeah, some humming could totally happen during this part, right?
this is the song.
All right, so we have our mouth right there. But I don't like to have cardboard and I want to reinforce it. So I usually use a piece of sticky back felt. You can get this at most craft stores, peel it off. And then this is important, the kids sometimes mess this up, to put it on the side that is not cut. So not the sides that are scored, to place the felt on. And also, if you don't have a pair of titanium or nonstick or Teflon coated scissors, I highly recommend them. Because this stuff is super sticky and other things get sticky too, like tape. And this way you can cut the extra off fairly easy, where it would take the kids like 3 times as long if they're using like regular scissors because it just sticks to everything. At the same time, I'm warming up our glue guns. Okay, so great. So here's our mouth plate right there with a nice black mouth inside. And first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the like T-shaped wood and I'm gonna put a bunch of hot glue there and glue it right up in to the top of that right of the gonna glue the top of the wood here. So I have a bunch of glue right there. And I'm just gonna take that cardboard mouth plate that we just made. And glue that right in just like that. Okay, hopefully everybody's with me so far. It doesn't have to be super centered, doesn't have to be right up against the rod, just in so that you have this kind of balance. Now, the next part to it is we're gonna need, I like to use gaffer's tape for this, but I'm sure duct tape or something else would work. So we need 2 little squares of that tape, and we need 2 popsicle sticks. So I'm gonna do first piece of tape, and I'm gonna take the 2 popsicle sticks kind of right in line with each other, just like that. And then I'm going to take that tape and fold it over really neatly like that. And I'm then going to just lightly bend it back and forth to kind of make a hinge right there. Then I'm going to take that second piece of gaffer's tape And I'm gonna do the same thing, pretending I had another stick here, but I don't. And I'm again going to wrap it around nice and snug. Just like that. Okay, now in the bottom of our little mouth here, but not right against the edge, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue. Oh, need a new glue stick. And I call this a flag, the part that doesn't have a popsicle stick on it. And I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the mouth, just like that. And then when this dries, we basically have our mechanism right there
Right.
that we can use to move it, to move our mouth. I like to put a piece of elastic around here to hold that a little tighter to the stick. Otherwise, it can get a little loosey-goosey there. So I'm going to do that real quick too. And the way I do that is I'll open the mouth up completely. I'll take my Sharpie and find kind of where that bend in the hinge on the popsicle sticks is and make a little line on the back there. And the reason I'm doing that is when this hinge comes down, it can get stuck in the elastic. So I'm opening the mouth up as far as it goes. So there's no chance I put it in the wrong spot. So I have my little line there. Put a little dab of glue right there and put the piece of elastic. You could use a piece of leather or a tough piece of cloth or anything like that as well. I'll put a second line of glue right over the top, and then I'll gently put this around. I say gently because you don't want to make it too snug, but you don't want to make it too loose right there. And then you've got your mechanism. I'm not going to make the whole puppet. That would take a long time. I'm just making this mechanism today. And I'd love to hear if people use it, what puppets they made with it. And that way I usually have the kids work the mouth with one hand. And then like in this example of a puppet, I made the arms rod, these one got broke off, but the arms were rod. And so the one hand could work the mouth while the other's working the rods. And that's the mechanism I'm showing today.
Woohoo! Yay! Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Home Slice.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Anybody have any questions for Home Slice? Go ahead and play the music.
I have another teacher comment. I love this one for so many reasons, but for those of us who have to follow like new standards and national standards and all this other stuff, the engineering behind what you're doing is really cool. And if you rephrase how you're talking about it with administrators, you'd probably get some really wonderful responses about how you're really learning about cause and effect and like, like all this other wonderful basic engineering principles. So here's a practical question. How old are the kids that you usually do this with? Like, what's your age range?
Almost all my classes, the youngest kids I work with are 3rd grade because I'm using scissors and glue guns. So I go from 3rd grade up, but I've done this even with adults too.
I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Home Slice, can you show the puppet you made with that mouth mech in it so we can see what it looks like when you add something to it? We have an audience member that would like to see it.
So right there. I've made a few different ones, but this is the one I usually make the most.
Rachel, we are going to have this entire presentation today recorded. So if you need another video, you can rewatch this once Joanna sends it out. Home Slice, do you have a YouTube channel? It has been asked.
I don't have a YouTube channel, no. I have I have an Instagram and a Facebook right now, and a website.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's take it to our next person who is going to do our super fast, no fuss hand puppet, Professor Joanna Smith.
Yes, I am a professor. Yes, yes, yes. And so I'm going to sound professorial for a second because I love that I saw Claire's and home slices first because just in terms of like the way my brain works, I'm thinking in terms of learning, right? Like learning concepts. So it'd be really cool to do the one I'm demonstrating first because it is kind of a big concept activity with kids. It's something you can do if you're discussing like the first day, if you're when you're working with a group and you're like, well, what is a puppet anyway? Like how do you make a puppet? And I do like to spend time with kids about like what I like to think about is like what's the least amount of material you need to like create a puppet? Like what's the least amount of stuff? And we usually end up with like, well, you could draw eyes on your hand and that would still be a puppet, right? And so this is kind of like a couple of steps up from that. It's just using really basic things and it creates a puppet that's really open-ended, if that makes sense. Like there's tons and tons of possibilities for kids to apply their own ideas and their own creativity onto a very basic structure. And I think that would be kind of fun to do first before, because then they would understand why the cool mechanisms you just saw add to the life of a puppet. Does that make sense? Like here's why a moving mouth is cool, and here's like how it might work in the larger context of puppetry. Man, I sounded like an egghead. Sorry about that. But can't turn it off. Can't turn it off. Everybody can do this, right? You got your Spock hand because I'm going to show you a puppet that I think I stole this from Sherry Lewis. I think I saw her do this on something and I can't remember, but I know I've seen other puppeteers do this. So this is not my original idea at all. So, but what I am doing is putting it into an educational context. So what you do with your Spock hand is you need a piece of fabric. In this case, I'm just going to use a regular old bandana. And all you need to do is just drape it over your hand like that. And here's the fun part. Then all I need is a nice rubber band. One of the fun things is when I when I do this with kids, they always get more excited about the fact that I have a ball of rubber bands. You guys ever like they like to bounce it, they like to throw it around. So you need to take a second, let the kids explore that. But then all you're gonna do is just take your rubber band, you're gonna wrap it. I'll do this a couple times because this is confusing sometimes. I'm wrapping it around my thumb. I'm gonna go around the back of my hand here and over my other two fingers because see my Spock hand underneath? See how I did that? It's just a rubber band and I made a body. I'll do it again, but don't worry. And then the fun part is coming up with what are you going to make for the head? Okay. It's so dumb. This is like my favorite kind of puppet because it's so dumb. But also, but you can kind of see it's so flexible. So I love this idea, like if you're doing Claire's project and you have a whole bunch of leftover little doodads and gewgaws, you can see like, oh, this toilet paper roll and a bunch of those things makes a pretty cool head, right? But you can also do other stuff. So I was looking around my house and I just was trying to kind of try to make a point of like, here's the creativity part. Give the kids a challenge, right? Give the kids a challenge. Like, what can we use for a puppet head, right? So here's one thing you could do. I found this box, right? I could have a box puppet. This is going to sound even sillier, but like, I was like, what if you took like an apple? You know, you could take like an apple and make a piece of fruit puppet, right? Here's a Nerf ball. I love Nerf balls anyway. But you may have noticed that I have not cut anything. I have not damaged anything. I can use the same box of scarves and the same Nerf balls and reuse them over and over and over again, which is really fun. Other things I found, things around my house. One of my students works for, what is the name of it? Like the Bevmo, and she got a whole bunch of these like little aprons that they were putting on liquor bottles, and she gave me like a whole bunch of them. But I was laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect hand puppet size little outfit. So like you could get like doll clothes. You could go to a thrift store and get a bunch of old doll clothes from like American Girl, and you can like just have a box of them, and you can have your kids just, like I said, recycle, reuse. These are toys that they can just play with. Here's another idea I came up with just today. What if you bunched up a sock? This is a fuzzy sock. And again, same thing. You don't need to damage anything or do anything. What if you had paper, and this is me channeling Nancy Renfro. But what if you had a paper head, like, and you did something like with a folded piece of paper? Oh, it's not working so well. But then you could also take Claire's puppet, Claire's paper plate, and put
stick
the,
on
put the
there.
stick down there, and you could have the paper plate on this body.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So I hope you guys get it. And then within, I don't know if you can see, I can even take this apart. Because whatever you do with your toilet paper roll can also be up to you, right? It's if you don't have a lot of time, these are just little stickers, right? That I got it. I can't remember where I got it, but I just really simple stick-on stuff for little kids. But if you have more time, then you can do things like cut pieces of paper that you fold, like almost like origami, and make like a paper folded sculpture. You can take paper mache, you can create a paper mache head. There's like a million things you could do. And then this is me getting all excited, because then I realized what you can also do is that once you create this hand puppet, you can take the concept of puppets and what kinds of puppets there are, and you can exploit this basic concept that what you're doing is using simple elements and a scarf to create different relationships between puppets and how they're manipulated, how they're moved. So I took the same concept, and I took the rubber bands, I took a scarf, I took a head. In this case, it's a tennis ball, right? With just silly stuff on it. But the difference is I put it on a stick. So this is getting back to Claire's idea too, like, because this is probably a good way to use the stick puppet Claire had. But all I did was make little simple hands, and I stuck them in rubber bands, and I used bamboo skewers to just stick them on the end of the scarf. So I guess my point being, you can take the same bunch of scarves or bandanas, whatever you have, take the rubber bands, take a whole bunch of options for the head, and let the kids rearrange them. Let them play with all the different ways to use them. Let them explore the relationship between where their bodies are and how their bodies are moving, and where the puppet is and what's the best way to perform the puppet. And then educationally speaking, it's really juicy and wonderful, because then they're going to get more of a knowledge about what a puppet is, right? And how it works. And then when they learn more advanced building techniques, they have something to scaffold it on, if that makes any sense. So so just one more time, I'll do the trick with the hand so everybody can have it. So Spock hand. Yeah. Thanks, Connie. Spock hand, bandana over it. And Mark, yes, of course kids can keep their puppets, but what I want to do is I want to give them a box with a scarf, a rubber band, and a Nerf ball. I don't want to give them a made puppet. Does that make sense? Do you get where I'm going? And I want to give them the opportunity to have a million different kinds. What? Sorry, but by the way, that is actually, I have filed a patent. I'm creating a puppet that's called the Make It Uppets, and so something like this is going to happen. But I'll do the rubber band in slow motion. I was distracted for a second because it's fun to talk about stuff like that. Rubber band on the thumb. Catch the thumb. Go around the back or around the other side. And then you have two arms. And I also agree with Mark to please join the Paper Puppet group on Facebook. I'll see if I can find that link while we move to the next one. But anyway, this will be just a big box of fun to start things off.
Woo! That was awesome. Can you imagine going into a library with a box of scarves and stuff?
Yep.
And just going in there and just saying, hey kids, this is what we're gonna do. Go ahead, get your hand like this. I'm gonna give you a rubber band, and then I want you to go and exchange heads and exchange this and add this and do this.
Go
They
find
would
a
have
head. Yeah, go find a pine
Go
cone.
find a head, make a head. They would
Oh,
have
there it is. Okay,
so
cool.
much fun. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Matthew, you're up. Matthew has two dolls for us that will be wonderful for any project, quick and easy. So, all right, Matthew, go right ahead. I'm going to spotlight you now.
All right, I'm going to try to do a little tabletop version of this, since the idea of these puppets, these are two different kinds of puppets that are tabletop puppets. I think my camera might actually be too close now. Let's see. Okay. I think you can see it better if I don't move it. Am I right?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, so this character is made from one plastic bag that is basically stuffed with a second plastic bag and even dressed with a plastic bag. There are even 2 feet under here, legs and feet, and one simple piece of cloth that is used to make a kerchief. And so you can see that this puppet can be animated. I'm just using my fingers from behind at the neck, just holding on and using my hand. So no rods, although you could add them, but this is meant to be a very simple construction and simple animation kind of figure. So this is for tabletop puppetry. All right, I'm going to show you 3 different variations, then show you quickly how they're made. So this guy, I guess if I hold it back, you see it better. Okay, so again, it's, whoops. Okay, it's going to start with a plastic bag. Actually, the head is where we're starting. We're starting with the nose and then the head. And then there's a way to use the plastic, which I'll show you in a second, that will be the construction of a figure. In this case, I actually do have some skewers here to show how the arms could operate and the legs. This would be a cooperative puppet to work at best. You would have at least 2 people that would walk the puppet or animate the puppet to get the full effect. This guy is dressed with some scrap fabric. So the materials are plastic bag and masking tape. The first one was plastic bag and Scotch tape. And this third one started as plastic bag, and it would have stayed that way, but I found the sleeve from a shirt. So the entire body is the sleeve from one shirt. This collar is the cuff of the shirt. So this is literally one plastic bag, and then it was stuffed down into this sleeve. And then I used some more of that same shirt fabric to make 2 arms and just some cardboard. Okay, so what you need is plastic bags. These are the grocery bags. You can use all kinds of other materials. And the idea of this is not necessarily recycling, but these bags we know are so terrible for the environment. Why not do something creative with them instead? So I'm going to purposely use 3 different colors so that you could see them, but you might choose all the same. I'm going to take one bag and put it inside the other. I used to be able to do this puppet with one bag, but the bags are now being made thinner. So I double or even triple the bags so that there's more weight to it. I'm going to take the third bag. I'm holding the bag upside down. Here are the handles. I'm going to hold it from the center of the bottom of the bag. I'm going to push that up inside the other 2 bags. And I'm going to turn it around so the print, this one has writing on it. I'm going to avoid the writing, the print. You're going to take your hand from the inside and push some of the plastic. You're making the nose. So you're pushing the plastic into the other 2 bags. And I've decided that perhaps about that much might make a decent nose. All right, can you see that? You can take rubber bands, small rubber bands work. I would recommend though, if you would like your puppets to last, to actually use some string and tie it, because in time, rubber bands deteriorate and fall apart. But for the purpose of doing this quickly, to show you how it's done, the rubber bands work fine. Still not sure if you're getting the full effect with the lighting here. Take your hand and find that inner bag. Find the inner bag. And push it up so that you can find what should be the head. Can you see it in profile?
Perfect.
Yeah. Now, what happens is you begin to run out of bag. So I'm just going to take that. Now I've used both of the inner bags, and I'm even going to take yet another bag, and you just keep adding more bags inside any place you need filler. So now I'm going to purposely stuff some so that there's a chin. Now it's blurry on my camera. Can you see? Again, in profile, you see it better. So I've stuffed some here to make a chin. Nose, head, chin. Is it coming through clear? Yeah? Okay. Looks terrible on my screen. Then once you're happy with that, you tie that off. So as you can see, even though we might all do the same technique, the actual look of the puppet can be completely different. It could be fatter, skinnier, more angular, bigger chin, smaller chin, whatever you like. Smaller nose, larger nose, whatever you like. You literally could stop right there, and it would be a character. But you can go further, and you see that you could divide this plastic that's remaining. And these parts dangling down can become legs. The center section would be body. And we could take yet another bag and just flatten it out, kind of crunch it together. And this bag could be put from behind and rubber banded also to become arms. So you sort of have this T effect to create the armature of a body. So just think figurative. You're moving towards figure, right? So what do we do to stiffen? Really, what's left is to begin to animate or manipulate the various sections that you want to be the figure. And you use either masking tape or painter's tape. I have some blue painter's tape. And you take pieces of that tape and any place where there would be stiffening. I haven't attached that arm yet. So just to show you how you might handle a leg, for instance, you're just crushing the plastic and you're using the tape to wrap around wherever you would like for that limb to be stiffened. So just remember that you want flexibility. What makes the difference between a puppet and a doll is the ability to be animated, to have flexibility. So you would do, for instance, the top part of the arm, leave a space, and then the lower part of the arm so that the space would be elbow. Same thing for a leg. You would leave a space where there would be a knee. So you're going to leave a space. So you can use as much tape as you want so that you're stiffening. I'm just going to purposely put it all over this plastic bag here. I would leave this space, and then I would start just below it. And it's important to crush it and tape it, not twist it. Twist it, it'll just come undone. But by leaving a space, can you see that? So then you have that flexibility. So wherever you want a knee, an elbow, a joint, you're going to leave that without the tape, and you have the flexibility of the plastic. Okay, so this guy is, you know, because I'm doing this quickly, not well proportioned at all, and you don't even get the full effect of what that will look like once, but you get the idea, right?
Absolutely. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, and so again, this one I purposely used, let me take her kerchief off. I used the corner of the bag. I did it on an angle so she has this sort of pointed head. I just experimented. I've done them so many times, and I thought, well, it would be fun just to do it differently. So I purposely pushed it towards the corner and to see what shape could I get. So you can find different shapes, even though it's just a plastic bag. Also in this case, instead of putting the arms just attached at the neck, I actually punched a hole and ran the arms through the top part of the body so that there's a more realistic placement of those arms. Who are you calling an old bag? All right, so there's the plastic bag tabletop figure. I recommend that you don't put too much emphasis in costuming on these kinds of puppets. Simple is less is more. Actually seeing how it's created really kind of adds to the charm of the puppet. Otherwise, you might as well just have crafted it out of better materials. So using the simple materials, use simple ways. So just the red kerchief seems to be enough, or just a little shirt, or just little pants. Same thing with faces. They could be faceless, or you could take a Sharpie and just mark on the bag. So maybe it only needs eyes. There's just little dots here for eyes and mouth. Along with that nose. So simple works better, I think, for these.
Matthew, what ages have you used this project with before?
So I have done these with children as young as kindergarten. And I will tell you that it's actually teenagers and adults that like these even better, because they can really have fun with creating the simplicity of the technique is there. And then they can really start to see how is a puppet figure animated and how is it different from a doll. Dolls are posable and they can sit there and look nice, and you can, move a doll around like that. But the idea that it has so much flexibility that you could really get subtlety and nuanced movement without any fancy mechanism, is just your fingers doing the work. So that's what's nice about it.
You made that one in less than, well, about 10 minutes.
They
So
usually take about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how much, detail that you want to do with it. Yeah,
now on one other question we had,
sure.
other one that you had some sticks in it. What was the purpose of the sticks?
Yeah, so I just showed the simplicity of only my fingers. In this case, I did use tape on the arms. Let me see if I can hold it sideways. And there's a skewer going right through, so that you could animate this from behind to get sort of more directional, movements. But truthfully, it doesn't need it. You could just use your fingers. It just depends also how much, as the performer, do you want to be visible, or are you attempting to be disappearing and away from the puppet and really giving the illusion that the puppet is moving and that you're not moving it. Also, to make it a more cooperative puppet, having skewers I put them at the heel. Do you see that coming out the back? Just a skewer going through. This is also just plastic bag and tape that fashioned the feet. And to be able to have someone move the feet and someone else moving the head and one arm, you could even have a third person moving the other arm and literally cooperating all three. These little figures look amazing with all that animation going on. And, the simplicity of the creation really does the trick. In this case, it's fabric scraps for hair, but you could do just like the others have been showing you with yarn or feathers or all sorts of things. I always have scrap bags, bins, or boxes of fabrics, and I separate them by sizes. So folded fabrics when I need larger ones, medium size, and then all the little bits. Because it's those little bits that you'll reach in and pull out, and those become all sorts of things. So that's real important. And I try to have a variety of a range of looks and feels of the different fabrics, not all brand new, not all pretty. I try to have torn and worn and, all different colorways so that people can find the aesthetic that appeals to them. So I'm not showing how everyone will make a puppet that looks the same. It's never a kit. It's always a setup for a structure. And then everyone can add to with their own creativity. And at the end, they all will look uniquely different. And then there's character development coming out of how they look and feel. But it starts with, and I usually say, this is a suggestion. This is not like the rules. This is a suggested way to make a puppet. You might, as you're working with it, find a different way to do it. And then I can learn from you. Because someone might say, well, that's a strange way to do it. Why don't you just do it like this? And someone will invent a whole other way to do it. So I really like that.
Thank you so very much. Now, that one was made of plastic bags.
Plastic bags.
Looks very similar to the Slavic ragdoll, except that the Slavic ragdoll is rag. So what's the difference other than the plastic bag and the rag?
Yeah, so there is some similarity in how you're going to manipulate the materials. Of course, there's also a different feel and even a different sound. Now, these are going to look and feel more like dolls than that animated plastic bag because there's a more stiffness to the fabric. But it also depends on what kind of fabrics that you're using. So I'm going to try to keep this more still up to the camera so you can see. This is done in the style of the Russian or Slavic dolls that are no sew. Okay, so this is only folded, wrapped, and tied. Traditionally, these are done even with some kind of filler inside that might be herbs for medicinal purposes with specific intentions. But we can take that away and we can realize also that that idea is not specific to one culture or one area of the world. That idea is all over the world. And using scraps of fabrics, especially worn out clothing or housewares, is all over the world. And this is what one looks like if you were to purchase it in Russia. So this is a miniature size. They can be larger. And here's a roly-poly one. This one is actually a ball shape. Can you see that? And there are layers of fabrics that are used to construct this. And these start with the head and then layers of fabrics that are wrapped and tied to create the forms for the body. So here's one that's on the way to being done. And you can see there's actually no body. It's just, they are often are stereotypically male or female by using that like a dress shape as female. But watch how simple you could take this fabric and separate it. And this can now become legs, male or female, right? And again, by tying, this case, we would use string or yarns in order to attach it. And then the third one I wanted to show you, I wish you could feel the weight of this one. I used heavier fabrics, and this is kind of an old woman with a knit sweater. And she's faceless, which is also typical across many cultures. We see this in Slavic figures. We also see this in Amish, and even some Native American figures have no faces usually for some spiritual reasons. But what it does in our education or therapeutic work is it allows the character to be anyone. So you can project onto that any facial expression or emotion you imagine what it might be suggesting on its face. And I'm going to take this part off just so that you could see. And again, these all start with an inner core of fabric, and I'll show you in a second how that's done. And then there's a way of folding and wrapping one piece of fabric. In this case, it's this brownish fabric, and then layers and layers of other fabrics have been wrapped around at the waist or wrapped across the front. There's a little handkerchief here that was added on as an apron, another one as a kerchief. And you literally can just keep adding to these, and you'll feel the form growing in your hand. It's like, you know, the thing is coming to life in your hands as you work, and then you can even take them apart. And so similar to Johanna's puppet, that the materials can be reusable. So these aren't glued, they aren't sewn on purpose. It's not a right or wrong, it's just that is traditionally how they're made. So if you were to create one of these, I'll do a quick version of this. Again, I have to try to get this down. Traditionally, you would start with a piece of fabric. I have a long piece of scrap that's going to be folded. I'm going to just fold this one in thirds, like that. And I'm going to fold it in half just to make it quicker. And then you roll it. So this fabric would be one that you won't ever see again. It's going to be hidden inside. So any scraps that you don't mind to get rid of, that's where it goes. Again, you might take some string and tie some string around it and hold that in place. For the sake of time, I'm going to quickly just put a rubber band here. But I would ordinarily do this with string. Okay. I'm going to take a piece of fabric. They don't have to be squares. I purposely have a square, but you could use even odd shapes. And you take this bundle and place it on the inside. And if I do this slowly for the camera, let's see if you can see. You want to flatten out the front and find the sides of the fabric and fold it like that and fold it down like that. And then gather it at what would be the neck. Can you see? And then that would again be tied. Again, for the sake of time, I'll use rubber bands, but that really should be string. Now, you might decide that this fabric will look great for the body or costuming, but you wouldn't maybe want all that patterning going on the face. So eventually you'll gather up the sides and these will become arms. And this is actually now too short, but I can begin to construct the body by adding layers of wrapped fabrics round and round, and it will start to become the full body and the length that I want. But you could take another fabric. So I have some that are more like skin tones, and I can drape that over. And I can purposely change the look just of the head and still have the colors of the body. And then I can add yet another fabric over that if I want to hide the edges of the fabric I just added. So it's layers and layers, and each time you're adding a layer, you're tying, folding, tying, and layering to create these shapes. And you'll feel the mass. I think that's what I like about this kind of puppet building. You literally are constructing and building, and the mass or volume of the figure just comes together in front of you as you work. Actually, I have one other to show real quickly. This is the same sort of similar technique, but in this case, I'm using an entire garment. So this used to be a blouse. So I just will find a garment that has, this is very flexible material off the rack at a thrift store. And I'm going to fold it different ways. I'm using hair ties and just folding and tying. You have this very, very flexible tabletop character.
Those are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
very
welcome.
much. And I like the fact that you can build from fabric or plastic bags or anything. And I love the fact also in education, you can do some collaboration and cooperation for movement, and improv would be great with this. So
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so very much.
You're
Well,
welcome.
somebody commented on the fact of maybe being careful with Sharpies, but yet, you know, older kids, Sharpies, yes. The younger kids, you may have to be a little more helpful with their, and do some things like Joanna said, put a sticker on for their eyes and things. So yes, any other questions or comments for
I of
Matthew?
course have one.
Yeah, sure.
Your
Of
comment.
course, go for it.
Because it's making my head explode. One of the things I love about the fabric idea, and Matthew, since you're for people who don't know, Matthew is a therapist who uses puppets and is extraordinary with that. I just was going to share with you, Matthew, that I saw an exhibit at the American Visionary Art Museum in Baltimore
Oh,
of a young woman with disabilities who created figures very similar to what you're doing by wrapping plastic around something. But at the core, she would put an object that she found special to herself.
yes.
And I
Yes.
was like, I just kept thinking that, do you ever do stuff like that? Like you could really work
Yes.
with a precious object, but you could also work with the patterns and textures and colors
Yes.
of the fabrics, which is so cool.
Yeah, so for this demonstration, I was, staying specifically with the technique of building the character, but in therapeutic work, we absolutely will consider working from the inside out. And this is especially useful in medical settings when people have physical or medical problems with their body, and you begin to explore where are you having a disease or illness or an injury, and where do you feel pain or discomfort? What do you carry? Where in your body do you carry certain feelings or trauma? And so we might make little objects or find objects or even write messages and attach them inside, and then layer and layer. And all these things are hidden as secrets within. Yeah. So that's definitely part of the process. Yeah.
So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Love it.
This is not that character, but this is the one I've done recently in Barcelona, and they're using all crushed paper and masking tape. But this body is a drinking is a water bottle, and I stuffed mine with chocolate wrappers because I probably have those inside. I love chocolate, and so I'm showing it because of the idea of the secret within. So I'm a chocoholic, and so when I found those candy wrappers, I thought that would be fun. You can see them inside the body.
Well, that would give it a great smell too.
Yeah, so this is a more elaborate kind of tabletop figure, but all done with crushed paper and masking tape. That's not a 10-minute one, though. That's a couple of hours.
We had someone comment that these are very similar to Bunraku.
Yes. Well, the idea of animating with head and body and more than one person working together. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. All right, well, I am going to, I
Oh,
have,
do we have a hand up? I thought we saw a hand up.
we did, I'm
Oh,
not
did it go
sure.
away?
Did it go away?
Was it? I thought something flashed on my screen that said someone's hand was up. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jennifer. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, Connie.
All right, so I'm just gonna do a little quick thing that I use when I am teaching summer camp. I've got 2 camera, all of this stuff going on. But I love two-dimensional puppets. I was, and I'm going to say it, a paper doll fanatic, but I do not call these paper dolls because this gets your kiddos of all ages to manipulate characters that are two-dimensional. So you can choose to make it something like this, which is a template of a die-cut character. And it's very simple. And then you can use scrapbooking paper and go ahead and characterize this. And again, I've even done this with high school students, and yes, they've taken the paper doll concept and they Velcro different outfits on their little characters. So here are some characters that the high schoolers have created that look like themselves for different stories. These two were going on some kind of camping adventure. This one was getting ready to go swimming. I love this little hoodie on this little gentleman here. But the thing that takes this to the next level is they are two-dimensional pieces of paper. And what's the problem with paper? A lot of times things bend, they break, and well, or they drop. So what I like to do is I like to take my two-dimensional characters and kick them up a notch and add some bones. So I always add some bones to my two-dimensional characters, and this gives them some ways for gripping and manipulation that goes differently. So we take this, we add some bones. After we've added the bones, we add some Velcro to the bones. And I love Velcro instead of tape because these are characters of paper. And just like everyone has talked about various manipulating devices, skewers, straws, coffee stirrers, and I put the hook part of the Velcro that is the harder piece on the straws and the character manipulation devices, whatever you want to call them. And I use the Velcro to be able to control my characters in any different, sorry, I cut the legs off, in any different position. So if I am controlling my character from the top of the screen, I'm going to turn it around now. That's me. I can go from this direction. If I'm controlling the character from below the table, I can go with this direction. Or let me show you a picture of my niece. I love to take just pictures of people that are familiar. Now that I have 2 straws, I can actually start manipulating my character and make it walk. So this is what I love about Velcro versus tape. Tape makes it very stiff, but you can take your characters to the next level by taking pictures of your students, of your campers, letting them cut them out, glue them onto sticks, and then manipulating these characters, whether it's from up top or below. But the walking is always great because little kids like to talk like this. They think that we need to jump up and down when we talk. I have no idea why we talk like this, but they think this is right. So by giving the 2 controllers, it also helps when you're setting a stage to have the characters learn to walk on and off stage as you're taking it across the stage. One student can take it off the stage, or if you're going from above, you can have them manipulate it like this, all these different ways. Now, I do have green screen straws because I do teach this with green screen techniques in movie making. So that's why I have green straws, but you don't have to. You can go and get coffee stirrers. You can get anything you want, plain straws, whatever you want, but it's just a neat way to take and manipulate 2D characters. And for your media people, the librarians, this is a great story kit. When you make a bunch of these and put them together for your various books, then you have a story kit and you can have the students recreate, retell, or create their own story. I do not laminate them because I am also a movie person. So my students take these and they turn them into a movie by filming it with iMovie and things like that. You can't laminate these because when you do that, for movies, you get a glare. If you're not going to film them and you want them to last forever, sure, laminate them and then the kids can play with them forever. But depending upon what you're going to do, this is just a neat idea of using scrapbooking paper, construction paper, and all different things. Very simple and easy, but then take it down to the manipulation. I also take these and go from 2-dimensional to a little bit of 2.5 to 3-dimension by adding fabric and things again to make it stand out a little bit more, and even origami storytelling. So this is another engineering technique that if you're going in sequential order, origami takes the next step and takes their characters into 3-dimension. So mine was very quick, very quick. And hey, we did pretty well with an hour and a little bit of time. So let's see, I have a few people that said, let's see, what about laminating just the back like the thicker packing tape? You could with contact paper, because you know, if you laminate, it goes from, so you could use contact paper. I get the Velcro hook and loops from the dollar store, and I just put those little circles in different places on the characters. But the best part of this is when you turn yourself into a puppet. They just love printing out the pictures of themselves in in
Can I
different
actually
outfits.
can I add to that? Because I love that one so much. That's you, right? Like sometimes I've done this before where you print out multiple copies and then you can cut out the arm separately, for example, and put it on there with a brad so that the arm goes woo woo woo. And it's like a what do you call it? A jumping jack. You've ever seen those jumping
Yeah,
jack
yeah.
ones? And then you get that wonderful movement. It's just flopping and it's so puppety and silly. So, but you have to know your kids if you're going to do something silly like that.
The high school kids did that. So if you take this one, and they made 2 of these, they made 2 just like this so that they could cut the arms out and they could put the arms on top as separate arms. And then they took an apparatus like this, their controlling mechanism, and they could move this arm up and down while still holding on to the character. So yes, once you get your kiddos thinking more into how does this move, very much like the bags, how does this move, then they start thinking about joints and moving, and where in the head do I want to cut this to still have a neck, and what if I want my knee to turn? So the high school kids this last couple of weeks that have been doing this in their creative writing class have really taken it and jumped and run with it. So it's really great. So, all right. One more time, here is the link for everything we have shared with you today in picture form. I fixed the link. There was a couple of people that said the link wasn't opening correctly, so I did fix the link. So if you go to the last slide, the link should work for you to get to the files from all of our presenters. And that's it. It's all you, Miss Joanna.
Thanks, Connie. Yay. Thank you, Connie
Yay.
Mulligan, our first ever Make and Take. Thank you, presenters and everyone. I love having a group here. I just wanted to make sure if people have ideas that have triggered more ideas that you have to share. Like I mentioned before, we have our Facebook group, and that's where we can start. I'm definitely going to post the video there, but we can also start a conversation like, oh, I tried this. Or as Home Slice was saying, like if you do any of these, share, let us know. One of the things we really need to do as educators is some more experimentation, but also like experimentation is great, but we need to share it, right? We need to share it with each other. So please let's feed this beast. Let's feed this creativity beast and support one another over the summer. So so if anybody else has any comments or questions, you can put them in the chat, or but does any of the presenters have any comments or anything that came up?
I have one quick question for Connie. The green straws, are those just regular green straws, or do you get a certain one that works for? I haven't done an awful lot with green screen, but that seems so brilliantly simple. I love this idea.
Starbucks has green stream straws. I also, when I use blue background, because sometimes you can use a blue background, then there are Culver's or different places like that, or even the gas station has blue straws. So whenever I find straws of certain colors, I grab them, a few here and there. Depending upon the background, they do make milkshake straws that are really light green, and they work too, but it's a matter of matching your straws to the color of the background. So you can tell these two are slightly different in the way the light is coming through them. So this was probably just a pack of green straws, where this one is a Starbucks straw. So yeah, every time I go to Starbucks, and Starbucks also has coffee plugs that are green.
The little
And
green
a
ones.
couple of other things. They're real small. They look like little swords. So if
Mhm.
you take green clay and stick that little sword looking thing in it, then you can have things floating on your background of the green storytelling. I love movie making right now. The kids at the high school level with my creative writing class are doing this project in a box. Kind of looks like that. It's just a box, and they open it up, and then their characters are inside the box, and then they close it up, and everything fits up in the box, and it makes it easy for transportation and storage. So
You can also
yeah.
do things like, I'm going to piggyback on what Connie's saying, because Connie is an expert in this technique, but I also want to point out that if you're an educator, you can also, there are theater standards in theater tech that you can address. And there are tiny little, I don't know if you've seen them. I get these at Marshall's, but they have these little adhesive LEDs, and you can put like lights in your actual little tiny boxes, like Teatro Lambi Lambi, if you haven't heard of that theater form. And then they can do lighting design. They can do all kinds of, I mean, basically it's, Connie's incredibly good at this green screen stuff. So Connie, you have a website where you go into some of that stuff, right?
Yes, I do. And it's in my dancing hand puppets, and then it will lead you to my educational workshops.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna plug Connie's stuff because we have Connie, ask Connie, like, which is the coolest thing ever. And if you're ever overwhelmed by educational stuff, contact us here at PIET. And there's tons of us who teach and know these policies and this stuff, and would be happy to help you out. So that's why we're here. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you to all our presenters. Woohoo! I thank you for your expertise. Much, much appreciated for your time. And for all of you that attended, thank you for your
Welcome.
time.
And keep your eyes peeled for an announcement on our first PIET meeting is going to be probably in September. So hopefully you're all welcome to come join us. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.